your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Yeah, this has been a dream come true. As we've gone through this process, this was the only one. This was the only one that we saw, man, this could be a place that we could be here for a while, right? This is the type of place that ultimately you want to try to help and build and make it better. And that's why you coach. You coach to try to help players reach their highest potential to win.
This was a moment of progress, optimism, and confidence that we will achieve the ultimate goal as long as we have the right man. And number two, that man was Liam Cohen. Liam's outstanding body of work speaks for itself. Quarterback development is the bedrock of modern NFL, and Liam has delivered that wherever he's coached.
Hey guys, this is Liam Cohen, just touched down in Jacksonville. Let's get this thing started off right here. 3, 2, 1.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. My man Liam Cohen, he's my man now, Tony, as you well know.
Yeah.
He has been really diving into that Duval pool. By the way, it just dawned on me on that one right there, which was the first ever one that he did. He did the countdown, which a lot of purists hate. We don't count it down, 3, 2, 1. We just do it. So he's been doing better.
Duval.
As time has gone on, Liam will drop it.
Whatever Duval
sooner
sees
rather
us
than
going
later.
forward, I will never love one more than that one.
Well, look, and many fans have already said, I'm going to use that to troll people. You lost to a team whose coach said this.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
Yeah. Look, I know people from outside of Jackson will get annoyed that that's a Duval thing anyway, right? Like, I get it.
Oh,
so
anything that annoys people outside of Jacksonville, I'm all for.
So why not when they're like, why do y'all do that stupid cheer? Just drop Duval. Just do it right in their face. Like, when they do it to you, it's like, okay, you hate it that much, do you?
They're calling it, Tony, tomorrow, Coach Cohen's first Duval. I don't know why they're calling it that, but they are. It's a gathering of Liam Cohen over at the West Club tomorrow, along with Tony Baselli, the Roar, Jacksonville, the D-line, a celebratory evening. And they've got, some reduced price concessions and merchandise that'll be available as well. And all you have to do is head over to Jaguars.com and click on the tab for it right there on the front page, the banner, and it'll take you to a sign-up page, and it's free. You can go for free, but you do have to pre-register like a lot of these like training camp practices, for instance, right? There's X amount of space. We're not going to charge you for it. We're also not going to have a free-for-all on the night of the event.
Right.
So
They just need to know you're coming.
And that's happening tomorrow if you are inclined to go try to rub elbows with Liam Cohen and hear what he has to say a little bit more in depth. I will say this, Tone. I mean, I don't really keep up with the pace of other teams' coaching searches in terms of filling out their staff once they have the top guy. It's always interesting to see, what the head coach search plays out like. And it looks like in New Orleans, they're focusing on Kellen Moore right now. At least that's the feeling. Can't hire him until after the Super Bowl. So you're another week and a half away from even being able to do that. But a bunch of other candidates have withdrawn their names, which indicates to a lot of people that they've been told they're not going to get the job.
It's a pretty strong indication.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're not going to have a head coach for a couple more weeks. Imagine if the Jags did want to go like the Joe Brady route, right? If Liam Cohen stayed in Tampa and they pivoted and we're going to open this back up, I mean, we'd be hip deep in it this week. Who knows? Would we be adding more people to the mix? And, the longer it drags out, the more the focus becomes on you. Why can't you fill that job? Well, apparently the Saints will. With Kellen Moore, we'll find out. Look, it's when you are a coordinator and you get a team to the Super Bowl, or you're on a team that goes to the Super Bowl, there's a good chance you're going to be in the cycle at least, and that's where Kellen Moore finds himself as the OC of the Philadelphia Eagles. But Liam Cohen has certainly hit the ground running, it appears to me at least, in terms of trying to fill some of the key spots on this coaching staff under him. He completed now his 4th interview for defensive coordinator yesterday. Anthony Campanile is a linebackers coach up in Green Bay, their defensive running game coordinator. Everything's gotten so specific on defense, right? You got passing game coordinators, running game coordinators. In other words, their focus is on building a game plan to stop that aspect of the opposing team's offense. So he became the fourth person to interview for the job here in Jacksonville that we know about, at least according to the Jags' own site. Durante Jones, who's the Vikings defensive pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach. Patrick Graham, who is the former Raiders defensive coordinator, who, of course, interviewed twice here to be the head coach in this cycle. And then we talked about Aubrey Pleasant yesterday. All these guys are young. Campanella's only 42 years old, a 19-year coaching vet, but he's 42. So he's been around doing it for a while. But the interesting name, I think, the first offensive coordinator candidate that we've heard about, Nate Shielhasi. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Shielhas.
I do not know.
I'm just based on how it's spelled. I'm going with that. He's an LA Rams offensive assistant and passing game specialist. And the Jags interviewed him yesterday for the open offensive coordinator spot. He is 34 years old. Now, McVay, obviously not afraid to have young coaches on his staff. What was he, 31 when he got the head job with the LA Rams, I think Sean McVay was?
31 or 32.
Yeah, something like that, right? So this guy, Shielhasi, is 34 years old. He's been coaching for 10 years, played quarterback in college, had one season as the offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach at at Iowa State in 2023, and is seen by many, I guess, that are into this kind of thing. Like, I'm not into the rising young NFL coaching stars, right? There are plenty of people that cover that stuff much better than I ever will. But from those who have their eye on this kind of thing, he is considered to be a rising star it's only a matter of time before he becomes an offensive coordinator. The funny thing is that the Bucs already interviewed him as well for their OC job. Now, I hope that Liam Cohen, and I'm sure he will strive to hire whoever he thinks is the best candidate. But the added bonus of hiring a guy that the Buccaneers might have wanted themselves for the OC job would just be tremendous for me.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the pronunciation here. Shielhouse. It's the best that I can find.
Shielhouse?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's at least the pronunciation guide that I can find.
It's Scheel. There's Shield. We got the Shield part, and then Haase.
Yeah, I found that on like a college pronunciation guide for him. So
all right.
Shielhouse, I assume, would be how you pronounce it. It's not like I listen to a bunch of, passing game coordinator names all that often.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I don't know this guy from Adam, but apparently in NFL circles, he's well regarded as an up-and-coming, bright mind kind of guy. He's worked with Sean McVay, was their offensive assistant passing game specialist here in 2024. And, we kind of alluded to this yesterday, Tone. The old men in this cycle that are getting talked to are 45. I mean, which, is older than Liam Cohen is, but it's not like any of these guys have any former head coaching experience. Patrick Graham does have coordinator experience, so that would be, you'd feel at least he's ready-made to walk in and know all that the job entails. But there's not going to be that, at least based on the candidates that Liam Cohen has looked at so far, there's not going to be that kind of mentor type on the rota of the different coaches. Chip Kelly's name came up right at the end of last week, which was an interesting one to me because Liam Cohen's going to call plays. Chip Kelly's at the stage of his career where I would think if he's somebody's OC, he wants to call plays. That would be a big part of it. He was the OC at Ohio State. He'd been all around. We know who Chip Kelly is.
Yeah.
Outside of that name being connected, but that was more like a name to watch for thing. Liam Cohen looks like he's going with the rising star category method or at least trying to find the rising stars. And look, he himself can be considered one at the age of 39, right? And probably he knows a lot of guys in that age range because they came up as contemporaries at different, events and whether they've gone to, the Senior Bowl, the Combine, whatever, and you tend to rub elbows with people in your age bracket a lot of times. So he's probably overlapped with some of these guys at different places and has gotten feedback on some others. But I do like the fact that he's not wasting any time here, right? I mean, we've got 5 completed interviews already. I don't know how extensive these are or how long they need to be compared to a head coaching interview because you're not taking on the whole thing. But I don't know, an hour or two? I would think at least a couple of hours you would think for a coordinator level, but maybe they're quicker than that. Maybe it's just like an hour, get acquainted, find out the basics, and then we kind of prioritize who we like out of those candidates and maybe invite 2 or 3 back for a second round, something like that.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and look because this is not one of the things that I pay all that much attention to, but I know Sean McVay had Wade Phillips early, right, as his defensive coordinator. How long did that go, and did he hire a more young type defensive coordinator in the last few years, right? Because he's certainly not been shy about it being young guys that he has on the offensive staff, certainly there in L.A. But I know his defensive coordinator when he got there was Wade Phillips, but I can't remember how long he was there.
Let's see. L.A. Get off my screen. L.A. Rams, he was defense coordinator there from 17 through 19.
Okay.
So I think McVay overlapped. Did he overlap for the entirety of that time?
17 was when he got hired. Yeah.
All right, so there you go. The first 3 years there. So that was a way to come in and say, okay, because I'm a play caller, my focus is going to be more geared towards the offense. Here's a guy I can trust that I can turn it over to, which is why I think Patrick Graham stands out right now among the candidates, because he has been a guy that's handled that entire side of the ball. Everybody else would be taking a step up to get their first coordinator job for the first time. I think it's different on the offensive side. I do think it makes more sense that unless Liam Cohen and Chip Kelly just have the simpatico that I don't necessarily know about, that you have a young guy that maybe has some similar philosophies, maybe is off the McVay tree, right? That Shieldhouse is a part of now, and that you're continuing to mold that guy into what he ultimately wants to be. Now, a guy like that, though, is going to look for an opportunity to call plays eventually, right? I mean, that's the next step.
Absolutely, yeah.
When you're an offensive coordinator play caller, that's a much easier ticket to get to. I mean, you look how difficult it was for Eric Bieniemy to get a look at times, right? Because Andy Reid was the play caller. He was the offensive coordinator, Bieniemy was, but Andy Reid called the plays in Kansas City. So, it could be a position that you turn over a good bit.
Yeah.
Your first 2, 3, 4 years here in Jacksonville. But and that's why oftentimes you look at it's so important to have an offensive-minded coach in today's NFL, because you risk losing the hot coordinator and then having to turn your system over to a certain degree. Doesn't matter as much with veteran quarterbacks. When you got a young guy, you got a guy like Trevor Lawrence who's been through a number of different systems already. You want some stability for the long term. So having a coach who's the play caller, you're not going to worry about the offense kind of packing up and leaving town, so to speak.
I mean, he did hire, you look at the Wade Phillips thing, by the way, right after that they hired Brandon Staley, and he was there for a year. And then he got hired as the head coach, obviously, with the Chargers, had whatever level of success that he had there. And the next guy was Raheem Morris, right? So he's even hiring defensive coaches that are being looked at by the league as their next head coach guy. Like, that's not uncommon. The McVay tree seems to expand to both sides of the football, right? It's just something about that Rams thing right now going on in the league. But, yeah, I mean, Staley was only there for a year, and he became a head coach.
Right. I think the feeling more is not that you're necessarily – I think it's you're getting it on the merits of the job you do. I don't know if people look at the McVay tree and go, oh,
sure,
it's Staley learned these defensive concepts from him kind of thing.
No.
I think he's just more likely has picked guys that are on the brink of either getting a job or getting back to the point where they're going to get another opportunity to get a job and turning that side of the ball over. All right, today, a lot of focus on the draft. It is Mock Draft Wednesday. We'll unveil our mocks, 7-round mocks, a little bit later on. Got a lot of folks participating this week, Tony. I put out a tweet yesterday. So if you want to send your mocks, all you got to do, go to Pro Football Network, click on their mock draft simulator. You can do as many or as few rounds as you want. You can just tweet them our way if you would like. Our Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day this morning is draft related. Is there a player worth trading up for if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars with the 5th pick? Your options are yes, trade up for Travis Hunter. Yes, trade up for Abdul Carter. Yes, trade up, but not for those guys. Somebody else. Maybe that's Mason Graham. I don't know. Whoever you'd like. Maybe it's Teteroa McMillan, Tet McMillan, T-Mac, whatever you're calling him these days. Or you think it's not worth trading up at all, which is what the majority feel, but I wanted to at least open it up for the folks who think there is that one special player at the top of the draft. Matt Miller going to join us coming up in a few minutes from ESPN as we'll talk about his initial top 50 out there and some of, the Shrine Bowl, the Senior Bowl, how much we should be paying attention to these weekends of football in terms of the back half of the draft in particular. So Matt Miller going to join us on the other side. We'll talk draft all day today with you going until noon, as we always do. You can hit us up at 641-1010 on the Garber Automall phone lines or on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, or on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
I need some Girl Scout cookies.
I thought I might get the draft bell today. Da-da-dun, da-da-dun, that kind of thing. What is that thing? Is that the... There you go. I think I did an NBA thing. Da-da-dun, da-da-dun.
Yeah, that was the NBC.
Is that the NBA on NBC or something like that?
That's what I thought.
I don't know what it is.
I don't know.
It wasn't what you just did. So no. We've got that. Save that for Matt Miller so he feels right at home when we come back on the other side. Kicking things off with Matt Miller from ESPN, Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark here with you. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today for the renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Some say they were separated at birth.
Hey, you guys are brothers, huh?
Yeah. Others say they're brothers from different mothers.
Hey, what is this, a family business or what?
They're not twins. They are Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser. Mornings on 1010XL.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists, and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
I'm Ben from Beard's Diamonds. My father and I buy our stones direct from the diamond cutters. No middleman, no big company overhead, no commission salespeople, and we pass the savings on to you. Before you buy anywhere else, remember, Beard's Diamonds will beat any competitor's price.
In the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
So Mike Dempsey talks about his 23 pounds lost in the first 4 weeks with Awaken 180. You know what? I lost the same amount my first 4 weeks. It's not about if you're going to lose the weight. It's about how easy it is to do it. Online at awaken180weightloss.com.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss.
We don't have too many cold nights on the First Coast, but when the temperature drops, you want to hit the heat button and warm up. That's where Florida Home comes in. They're the AC experts in Jacksonville, and the importance of keeping your heating system in good working order is really important. If it stops working when it gets cooler, Florida Home will leap into action and provide you with the best solution. Heater and heat pump repair service and new system installation. They do it all. Just call Florida Home AC at 777-4300, the official heating and AC partner of the Jaguars.
D1 Training East Jacksonville invites you to their mega NFL football camp at the Bowl School February 1st from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Ages 7 through 16. Get hands-on coaching from former NFL players at every single station. The coaches lineup put together by Connor and Sam at D1 is proudly sponsored by Tim Tebow. To sign up, call 904-901-6470.
When they were little, the other girls played with dolls.
Aww.
They played with footballs.
Who's them? Yes, it's us.
Helmets and heels.
From the First Coast Lighting Studios at 1010XL.
Weekdays noon to 2.
Some girls have all the fun.
Jacksonville, get ready to spice up your night at One Night Taco Stand. Every Taco Tuesday, enjoy their mouth mouth-watering tacos for just $2.99. And get your weekend started with 2-for-1 house margaritas. Find fresh Mexican street food, stiff drinks, and fun vibes at One Night Taco Stand with 3 Jacksonville locations in Mandarin, Orange Park, and Southside at Bay Meadows.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise and towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys locksmith service.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. Are you tired of wrestling with your old shower curtain? Then say goodbye to the curtain chaos and hello to a new frameless shower enclosure. Wago Glass is clear, classy, and won't stick to you like a toddler at bedtime. Plus, it makes your bathroom look bigger and brighter. Upgrade your shower experience and step into style. Call me at Baker Glass and get ready to love your new glass shower enclosure. Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Hey gang, Prosser here. If you think you have problems related to the need to sell your home, we have solutions. And by we, I don't mean me. I mean ChadandSandy.com. That's Chad, A-N-D, Sandy.com. Call them today at 904-414-6200. Look, the problems could fall into a variety of areas. Maybe you want guaranteed no-hassle home sale, but don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Maybe you need more space with a growing family. Doesn't matter what the problems are. You go to Chad and Sandy. Those problems are fixed. With all the recent talk about interest rates and economic uncertainty, you may be wondering if now is the right time to sell your home. Will you get the price you need? What about repairs or showings? The good news, you don't have to figure it out by yourself. You call my agents, Chad and Sandy Newman. They will deliver. Your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No required cost of repairs. Pick your move date. No long-term contracts. The success stories are rolling in from all over town. Find out for yourself. Call Chad and Sandy today. That's Chad, A-N-D, Sandy.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Matt Miller is currently on an elevator. I don't know if he's going up or down.
According to sources.
According to sources, that source being Matt Miller. He will get in touch as soon as he gets off that elevator, and we will welcome him here for a little draft talk on this Wednesday on Jaguars Today. He's got his top 50 out, by the way, Tony, over at ESPN.com, so you can go check that out, and that was posted just 5 days ago, so this is fresh as a daisy.
Yeah, everyone's getting those out right now, man.
Yeah, it's that time of year. Dylan, why don't we set the table here, bud?
Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
All right, Matt Miller from ESPN joining us here on Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey and Tony Smith. Matt, got to know, was the elevator going up or down a moment ago?
Down.
Down,
guys. I'm trying to get down to the field to watch practice and talk to you guys. And you know, you put 25 NFL scouts in an elevator, it gets a little crowded to get out of.
Was it packed? All right. Well, hey, we've got East-West Shrine under our belts, and now we've got the Senior Bowl coming up. How important are these couple of weeks to really begin the process of fine-tuning draft boards around the league?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think you are fine-tuning. You've watched the film throughout the season. So this is a great way to kind of check what you saw on film, see it in person. How do guys move? How do they look? Especially with quarterbacks, how do they throw in person? That's such a huge part of the evaluation, how they interact with their teammates. But then, so for me, we're a one-person scouting crew, basically, in the media. And so you're also trying to maybe see guys that you missed throughout the season or, someone that you thought, I'll get to him later. Let me see him in person first. Because you want to kind of come in without any preconceived notions. So the Senior Bowl and Shrine Game are huge for that. And, every year there's going to be a small school guy that kind of pops and impresses you. And that's the fun part, too, is, getting to see a North Dakota State offensive lineman against the LSU D tackle or Western Kentucky corner against a top-tier Power 4 school wide receiver. So that's kind of the fun, but also the importance here.
Setting the tone for the week there at the Super Bowl, or the Senior Bowl, excuse me. Who do you expect will stand out at the Senior Bowl this week?
Yeah, it's a good group. I'll say that. Jim Nagy's assembled, I think there might be 8 to 10 first-round picks here. So there's a lot of room for guys to stand out. I think Josh Connerly, tackle from Oregon, is the best player here. He was a high school running back who kind of outgrew that position, moved to offensive tackle. He's just really, really solid athletically. He's still adding some power to his game, but he's an impressive player. Walter Nolan, the D tackle from Ole Miss, probably the best defensive player here. He was unstoppable in the first day of practices. So those two are, and I would say that's the theme here. The offensive, defensive lines are the good groups here that you really can get excited about where the picks are at. It's not a great wide receiver group. It's not a great cornerback group, but if you need trench play, this is a really fun class.
Hey, Matt, how much is NIL money changing the landscape here? It used to be, if you stayed until you were a senior, you were looked at as, why? You didn't have the opportunity to come out early, and be an early entry first-round candidate. And now guys can afford to be a little bit more selective on when they come out, maybe, choose a year in which it's not as loaded at their position. So are we seeing any of the practical effects of that yet play out?
I think so. Just seeing maybe not so much at the Senior Bowl with this group, but I think at quarterback we've definitely seen that. Cam Ward having an opportunity to go to Miami instead of entering the NFL draft last year is a great example of that. A guy who in the transparent era of NIL where he can say, I'm going to go to Miami, I'm going to make 7 figures and not have to rush to get to the NFL. I can continue to develop while making NFL money, basically. So I look at NIL and does it need, some regulation? Yes, absolutely. But it's also great because guys are able to stay in college longer and develop. Also, a complaint they used to have about some players be, what are they going to do when they get money? When they get real money in their pocket, how are they going to handle it? Are they still going to want it as much? Are they still going to show up every day and work at it? Now we don't have to wonder about that because guys are getting that real money in college.
Right.
So, some of these dudes are making more in college than they will as a rookie in the NFL. So you do get to find out pretty quickly how much do they love the game of football because now they've got life-changing money in their pockets. Are they still out there grinding every day, wanting it? And that's such a huge part of evaluating, right, is when this guy has millions of dollars at 22 years old, is he still going to show up and work his tail off every day to be a great football player? Now we really know that with all these guys because they've had an opportunity to make some money in college.
How many players will have a first-round grade this year?
A true first-round grade, I think I have 10 right now. It's not great. It's a low number. I think last year I was at about 18, which I liked last year's draft class a lot. So this year's low. I will not have a first-round grade on any quarterback in this class. Now, that doesn't mean Cam Ward might not go first overall or Shedeur Sanders might not go third overall, right? But first-round grades are going to be light. I love Abdul Carter. I love Travis Hunter. I really like Will Campbell, Mason Graham. Those are good players. They would be highly ranked players in any draft. But there is a pretty significant drop-off after you get out of maybe the first 5 players.
It does feel, Matt, like the defensive tackle from some of the pundits we've listened to seems like a fairly deep position this year, but that has been a commonly mocked player, Mason Graham out of Michigan, to the Jacksonville Jaguars in these mock drafts at number 5. You would think that would be worth the value, spending a top 5 pick on Graham based on where I see you've got him ranked. What is it about Graham that stands out to you?
With defensive tackles, I think sometimes people want to look at stats and be like, oh, he only had 5.5 sacks, whatever it might be. When I look at defensive tackles, it's like how many reps does he lose? And Mason Graham doesn't lose reps. So, is he out there putting up, 20 tackles for loss, 18 sacks? No, but college defensive tackles rarely have those types of numbers. He's just incredibly solid in every aspect of the game. Like, he's not going to lose reps. He could play almost any alignment you want up front. He's great against the run. He is an all-effort player against the pass. He's a little bit short. He's 6'3", 300 pounds. He's not the biggest guy, but players like that, especially in a kind of a down draft, sometimes you want to hit a double instead of a grand slam. He's a double. He's going to be a good NFL player for 10 years. He's someone that can make players around him better. We've seen that at Michigan. So if that's the pick for Jacksonville, I think you get excited about, okay, this is a building block type defensive tackle. He's not Aaron Donald, right? It's not who he is, but he could be a really, really good defensive tackle for a long time.
How do you expect teams will view Will Campbell, as more a tackle or an interior player?
I think you start at tackle, and if it doesn't work, you have a backup plan to get him to guard. And I've even heard some teams say they think he'd be a great center just because of the size. The thing about Will Campbell that hasn't been talked about yet, because we're just starting this process, is how great the character grades are going to be. That everyone who encounters him loves him. He's smart. He's a hard worker. He's been a starter since his first game at LSU, and he's handled it exceptionally well. He's continued to develop every year. So, again, sometimes in these drafts that don't have, a Caleb Williams, a Jaden Daniels, you're just looking for guys who are going to be, A-level football players and people. And that's Will Campbell and Mason Graham are the same in that regard. You know what you're getting when you draft those guys. There's not any mystery. You're getting high character, hardworking, good football players.
Couple more minutes here with Matt Miller from ESPN on the draft front. Matt, you say that some people will see Travis Hunter as a receiver, some will see him as a cornerback. You are ranking him right now as a wide receiver. Do you think it really just depends on which team he lands with as to what his path is going to be in the NFL, or does that side of the ball offense stand out to you that much more?
I think he'd be a better wide receiver, but I think ultimately it's going to come down to what position does he want to play and which position does he want to play more. Because in a perfect world, he's going to play a little of both. I think that's the value of him, right? I don't look at Travis Hunter and say he's going to be a top 5 NFL wide receiver or corner. But the value and the exciting part is that he could be maybe a top 10 at each spot. So the team's got to figure that out. I watched him in person this year against Kansas. He had a great game. But seeing him in person was the first time, I believe it's when I moved him from number 1 on my board. It's when I moved him down, was seeing him in person, because he's not a big guy. And we saw that in the 2023 season. He missed some significant time because of injury. So I think that's what we've got to figure out over the next couple months is if he's going to play defense full time, how does he do that at his current build? And if he's going to play offense and kind of moonlight on defense, how do you get him in the right situations defensively where he's not a liability because of his frame when it comes to having to play in the run game and tackle in the screen game and things like that?
As you go through the process of evaluating all these players getting ready for the draft, is there a name or two that pops to the top of your mind as far as who has been the toughest for you to evaluate at this point in the process?
At this point in the process, everybody's tough to evaluate still, but I think it's the quarterbacks. Shedeur Sanders is a great example of someone being hard to evaluate because you love the way he plays. He's tough, he's smart, he's accurate. Like Travis Hunter, he's probably 6'2", 198 pounds. He's not the biggest quarterback. He's not the most athletic quarterback, and his arm strength is average. But he's surgical when it comes to accuracy. He's got to speed up his process a lot to make it work in the NFL. But those guys are hard to evaluate because you don't know what kind of scheme they're going to go into. With Shedeur, if he goes to a team that wants a quarterback who can move or an offensive line that makes the quarterback move, I don't think he's going to have a lot of success. If he can go somewhere where he's protected, can play, more in the pocket, more of a play action type game, then I think he could have a lot of early success even.
You have Luther Burden ranked as your number 1 wide receiver. Many people have Tet McMillan. You only have him 1 spot behind. Vastly different kinds of players. One's 5'11", 208. McMillan, 6'5", 212. So completely different types of receivers. But what is it about Burden that stands out to you?
Yeah, I love what he can do. I think you look at Mizzou this past year, that offense wasn't great. He kind of had to go back into that gadget role that he plays as a true freshman. But you look at his sophomore season, and his ability to win on the slot fade, what he can do with the ball in his hands after the catch, he's just an explosive athlete. And I would say he's a player that I would expect to continue to develop and end up being a better pro than he was college player just because he's going to be put in in situations and systems where you can take advantage of some of the special things he does instead of, at Mizzou, there was a lot of times where he had to be the hero, third and long, who's getting the ball. So I would say the upside for him is greater than it is for McMillan.
How deep into the draft do you think a team will be able to draft a guard that could start on day one?
I mean, round 4, round 5, it happens every year, and I don't know that you should go into the draft saying, like, we're going to find our starting right guard in the 5th round, but it happens. It happens every year. The Niners got Dominic Puni from Kansas last year. He was amazing, and he was a late 3rd-round pick. So you can do it every year. This is not a great interior offensive line class. If you can't get Tyler Booker in the 1st round, if you can't, get someone like Armand Membo from Missouri and kick him inside the guard, then I think you have some question marks. But I would look at, some of these big programs, Texas, Ohio State, that have proven players that have played 3-4 years of football. If you need a rookie starter, I'm going that route. Somebody that, has a ton of experience, somebody that would be like a guy that's down here, like Grace Abel from North Dakota State is going to go before round 4. Obviously, he's probably going to go round 2, round 3, but someone like that is going to be a plug-and-play NFL starter at guard after playing tackle in college.
Grace Abel is in my latest 7-round mock draft. Just throwing it out there, Matt. Mine don't get as much attention as yours, understandably so. All right, last question for you, and we definitely appreciate your time. We know you got a lot going on. Name a position or two that you better get early because the supply of top-end talent is going to run out quickly.
Wide receiver and corner. In corner, you can always find dudes. This receiver class is not good compared to what we've gotten used to. We've been spoiled with wide receiver talent. This year, there's a drop-off. Even you mentioned where I have Burden and McMillan. Like, those guys wouldn't be ranked at 10 and 11 last year. They would be in the 20s. So it's a testament to this draft class's lack of top-end talent, but there is a significant drop-off. The last time I checked, I've updated some things since this Shrine game and being on the road. I don't think I have a receiver with a round 2 grade. So I've got like 5 guys in the 1st round, none in the 2nd. So if you need a receiver, I think you're either taking one early or you're waiting and taking a little bit more of a developmental type player.
All right, very interesting stuff. Matt Miller, always appreciate anytime we can get with you here, Matt. And you can check out Matt on the X platform at NFL Draft Scout, or go see his work over at ESPN.com and on ESPN proper as well, covering the Senior Bowl this week. We'll be watching out for a bunch of your coverage, and hopefully we can circle back with you again before the NFL Draft arrives in April. But we appreciate your time this morning, buddy.
That was great, guys. Appreciate you.
All right, pal. There he goes, Matt Miller of ESPN. Literally on the down elevator. I don't think his career trajectory is heading in that department. And as somebody asked on the text line, 25 people in an elevator. I don't know how big the elevator is. I'm guessing maybe it was like 12, and there was a little embellishment and hyperbole mixed in there. But
it's a full elevator.
A full elevator, right? It was a full elevator full of people, and so he was going down to the field right there, live from the Senior Bowl. Matt Miller from ESPN. A couple names came up, Tony, that might appear as I spoiled it. Gray Zabel, he's become one of my favorite guys to draft in these mocks, and we'll see. I got him in the 3rd round this time around. We'll see how things play out for us today as we'll unveil our top choice on the other side to get the ball rolling. And by the way, we'll post all these on the 1010XL Twitter account later on today, so you can compare and contrast between myself, Tony, and Dylan, as well as we've gotten in more today and over the last 24 hours than we have so far in the first couple of weeks we've done this. We'll try to go through a bunch of your mocks, and particularly focusing on the positions that you're selecting for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think we all have a decent feel for what their needs are right now, acknowledging that they're going to change significantly with free agency, at least very likely that a few of them will. 641-1010 if you want to get in, talk a little Jaguar football, particularly from the draft perspective. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL. Now, another classic moment in Jags history.
There he goes, Jimmy Smith. No flags. Touchdown, Jacksonville. 70 yards.
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Start your new year off healthy. Get screened at Ackerman Urology for common cancers of the prostate, bladder, and kidney. Early detection is key with 5 locations across Northeast Florida. Visit AckermanUrology.com.
DUI, BUI, don't stress. Call me Malcolm Anthony at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW for Malcolm Anthony.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday
on Jaguars Today.
Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Hi, this is Dave Barker. Want to grow your hair back?
IHRS, right here in Jacksonville, is the only hair transplant clinic in the country that offers multi-unit hair grafting, FUE Neograft hair transplants, and the 45-minute effective PRP treatments.
Multi-unit hair grafting gave me more hair in one procedure and within my budget.
Thank you, IHRS. IHRS showed me what was causing my hair loss and helped stop it.
Schedule a free evaluation and find out how to grow your hair back and keep the hair you have. Call 904-777-IHRS. Take the first step to restoring your hair today. Visit hairforme.com.
Now my hair will grow for the rest of my life. Thanks, IHRS.
IHRS has been restoring hair for men and women for over 30 years.
Call now for a free in-person or virtual evaluation. 904-777-IHRS. That's 904-777-4477. Or visit hair4me.com.
New year, new beginnings, and a new roof. Start 2025 with peace of mind and take advantage of Universal Roof and Contracting's limited time offer. 15% off all roof repairs and replacements. From leaks to full replacements, call 855-ROOF-HELP or visit universalroof.com to schedule your free roof inspection today. This special New Year deal ends January 31st. Universal Roof and Contracting, protecting your home and building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
Jags Hall of Famer Tony Baselli puts on his gold jacket every Monday morning at 7:20 on The Drill.
Does look good.
It's Hall of Fame Monday with Tony Baselli.
Good? It's great.
Brought to you by Heritage Roofing of North Florida on 1010XL.
Hey, Hicken here with a message from Zero Res. Guess what? We love rugs. We'll treat your fine Oriental rugs with tender, loving care they deserve. How about Gerard, the Zero Res rug cleaning manager, one of the few certified master rug cleaners in the state of Florida? If you want your rugs cleaned with tender, loving care, call Zero Res. Right now, have one rug washed and we'll wash a second rug free. That's right, buy one, the second one on me. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. If you're dreaming of putting in a pool this year, choosing the right company is the most important decision you'll make. I've trusted Stanley Pools to build my pool, renovate my pool, and maintain my pool. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and they're still family-owned. Call them today at 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, what's the matter?
I don't know about this air conditioner, Jason.
You know, my job is actually to...
I mean, 1 minute it's working, and the next minute it's not working. And every time I leave the house, I don't know if I'm coming back to a nice, cool oasis or a steaming cesspool of sweaty garbage fumes and dog farts, and then I'll never get to sleep. And I'll be too late to call someone. And what if I've got a big meeting the next morning and I haven't slept a wink?
Okay, dude. Stay cool. Or at least stay cooler.
But
Bueller Air and Plumbing can figure out why your AC only works sometimes and not all the time. We fix that kind of stuff every day.
You mean you can...
Life moves pretty fast. If you spend all your time worrying about an air conditioner that can totally be fixed, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the
have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Interested in a unique date night? Gibby here. I took my wife Nikki to Wick a Candle Bar. She made her own custom candle right there in the store. Shop local at Wick a Candle Bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, we appreciate Matt Miller taking a little time out, fresh off the elevator at the Senior Bowl to join us there, Tony. And we pushed back the last break a little bit. And, when things are happening live, we roll with it. So in order to get kind of back on schedule, we'll put off the commencing of the mock drafting until after the top of the hour. But I did want to comment on this. Somebody sent us a screenshot off their television or I guess it's the photo off their television of Chris Russo's Mad Dogs A-list. I don't know if you saw that this morning.
No.
The top 5 most tortured NFL fan bases. Okay? Don't look at it if you haven't. You haven't seen it, right?
Was it top 5?
Top 5
okay.
Most tortured NFL fan bases. I'll give you guys 3 strikes between you. Give me the top 5 most tortured fan bases in the National Football League. Browns are number 2.
Tony?
Feels like I shot my shot.
Well, I guess I can go a couple more.
Buffalo?
Buffalo number 1.
Yeah.
Lions.
Lions are not on there. See, now I wonder if it's because
they've been let out of the dungeon.
You got this fun team now. Well, they didn't do anything, right?
Yeah, they haven't had any kind of runs of success where Buffalo continues to be tortured by their teams.
Right, because they advance and then can't get past Kansas City. Is that it? I mean, but it's better, I guess, to just not even win a playoff game?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And they've never won the Super Bowl despite having played in 4 in a row.
The Bills, yes. Yeah. Like, I get it, right? But you can look at it and say Detroit's torture because they haven't even been to the Super Bowl. Ever.
Sure.
Like Barry Sanders had like 1 playoff win.
And they've been around for 90 years?
They've been around for a long time. Now, they had success way back in the day, but anyway, so, all right, you got the Bills and the Browns. Who else you got, Dylan? Top 5 most tortured NFL fan bases.
I want to say Chargers, but that's not. The Chargers are not going to be on this list.
That guy's not going to have them on that list. Yeah.
The Jags are going to be on there, right?
You're saying the Jags? That's a big strike 1.
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to give you a strike for the Chargers, but I feel like you're floating trial balloons out there to see what my reaction will be. All right, so Jags are not in the top 5.
Bears
are number 5. Got 3 and 4 here, Dylan.
Vikings
are 3. If you think about it, 4 is not that difficult, really.
Tortured fan bases. Cincinnati?
Oh, I got one.
Incorrect. Who you got?
Falcons?
Incorrect. Strike 3. Jets.
Yeah.
Come on. Haven't been back to the Super Bowl since Joe Namath.
I'm surprised he doesn't have them at 1.
I'm wondering if the person who sent this to me sent it as if to say, why aren't we in the top 5? I'm not sure. They didn't. They sent it without comment. But I think you can make the case. We've said it plenty of times, Tone. You're not the only fan base that has it rough out there, right? Now, I get it. You don't have to care about those other fan bases. But when you think, we're the long-suffering Jags, well,
you are
to a degree,
but you're not the only one suffering.
The Bills have been and torture. They're different degrees. Like torture can be getting so close and not having it, like the Bills did. Right? They missed the Scott Norwood kick, which would have won their first Super Bowl that they were in, and then they got blown out in the next 3. Went like a 17-year period without making the postseason. Then in between, and here they are knocking on that Mahomes door. Not able to get over the hump. Reminds me of Bum Phillips and the Oilers, going against the Steelers in the late 70s, early 80s.
All the quarterbacks in this era for a while here, they're chasing Mahomes, and we'll see if any of them can catch him.
It's just the way it is, right? I mean, I heard somebody talking on some show yesterday about how it's similar to the Jordan era. You look at great teams and great seasons that people just couldn't break through.
Yeah.
Because Jordan was hogging all the titles.
Yeah, I think Phillip Rivers is probably a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback, but he played in an era where Manning and Brady were doing what Manning and Brady were doing.
Yeah.
And, Eli's the one that won a couple.
Despite that, Phillip Rivers, at some point, you've been the number one seed. You had to put your team on your back and carry you to the promised land and win, especially when you had those home games. So you got the Bills, the Browns. Yeah, I'd say they fit as a tortured fan base, right?
Sure.
Never been to a Super Bowl, been around forever. At least in the Super Bowl era, they're tortured, right? Now you're stuck with freaking Deshaun Watson's $92 million cap hit.
They were pretty special 60 years ago.
Yes, right, or more. Can they get out of Deshaun Watson's deal if that Achilles re-tear is due to an activity that's prohibited? Maybe.
If they could, I would.
But, they lost their team, and then they got it back, and they've seen that team go on the Baltimore Ravens to become one of the steadiest franchises in the NFL.
And now the most interesting things happening are, is the quarterback going to be back, and how does the lawsuit between the city and the new building of a stadium going to play out? Right? Like, those are the interesting things happening in Cleveland right now.
The Vikings have been to 5 Super Bowls without winning one. I think they went to 4 in the Fran Tarkenton era. They went to 1 that they lost to the Giants, if I'm not mistaken, right? Didn't they? No, was it the Giants?
They couldn't play the Giants.
Who was it? Was that an NFC Championship game in the early 2000s?
Might have been. They were 15-1 or whatever that season was. They played in 4.
That one, right? That was in 97.
Yeah.
Okay, so they didn't get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Was it the Giants who beat them and then went on to lose the Super Bowl in the early 2000s? Is that what happened? I feel
they beat Minnesota bad in an NFC Championship game.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of there. Yeah, the Randy Moss
with Kerry
team.
Collins. Yeah.
They had who was the kicker for him? Hadn't missed all year. Right, Gary Anderson?
Yeah, Gary Anderson.
Had missed all year. And then he misses in the playoffs against the Falcons, and they end up getting beat. The Jets are, I think, definitely qualified for.
The Vikings have played in 4 Super Bowls, none since 1977.
Right, and that was all in the Tarkenton era, I believe.
70, 74, 75, 77.
And you think, well, the Bears won it all. Yeah, in 85, the Bears won it all. And the Bears have never, to this day, and they've been around for 100 years, they've never had a 4,000-yard passer at quarterback.
That's
never.
Such a wild number.
I know. I mean, in today's NFL especially, you think wow. Man,
didn't Bortles get 4,000?
Bortles did it. Trevor's done it. Brunell did it way back in 96, So I'm not saying that 4,000 now I look at it it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's like the bar has moved, like Baker Mayfield threw for 4,500 this year. That makes me go, oh, okay, now it's
a good year.
Pretty impressive total. So anyway, I don't believe the Jags are one of the top 5 tortured fan bases, but anyone who feels that way and roots for them, I can understand how you would, because that's what your experience is, right? Yeah. I'm sure there are others out there who feel they're equally tortured as well. But anyway, I thought that was a little bit interesting to take a peek at right there. We'll come back and we'll start to unveil what we did for this week's 7-round mock draft on Mock Draft Wednesday. Again, I got a bunch of them coming in. We'll take a look at a good number of them on social media, what you took the time to do as a Jaguar pseudo general manager. Somebody asked also, what are the Jags doing with the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl? You don't have a GM in place. What are you doing? Well, your scouting department is still in place.
Yes.
Right? And generally what happens when you change a general manager, you keep that branch, that wing intact, because they've already done all the legwork, right?
At least through the draft. Yeah.
Right, through the draft. And then afterwards, usually those guys get quietly let go in many cases, or some get retained, but oftentimes there's, a new GM wants his own fleet of scouts or whomever coming in.
Too far into the process to start
exactly.
over.
You're right. So even though Balky's gone, you're still getting scouting reports from the same scouts. It's just the ultimate decision maker is going to be different this time around. And maybe the process will be a little bit different as well in terms of who pitches what, when, in terms of the players that they think the Jags should be investing in. But nevertheless, the cupboard's not bare. They still have a staff in place to go check out these prospects who they've already done a lot of work on. As Matt Miller told you, it's fine-tuning at this point in time with a lot of the process and getting to know these guys on a more personal level. All right, we'll come back, and it's time for a little mock draft Wednesday action. That's straight ahead on Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Lickety Split. Man, it's warmed up already the last couple of days, and before you know it, what we consider to be a winter will just be a distant memory. Here in North Florida, when the temperatures go up and your AC goes out, you need help now, like right now, like Lickety Split. So call Lickety Split. You'll get same-day emergency service, not only for your air conditioning, but for your home's plumbing and electrical, too, with dozens of certified technicians and a fleet of trucks ready to roam all over Duval and take care of any issues you got. In fact, all of Northeast Florida covered. Lickety Split. When you need it done right, and you need it done right now, call Lickety Split.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. 1010XL's Dan Hicken dominated Folio Weekly's Best of 2024. Best TV sports anchor, Dan Hicken. Best radio sports anchor, Dan Hicken. Best radio sports show starring Dan Hicken. 1010XL, the home of Dan Hicken.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Before the Great American Race on Sunday, the high banks of Daytona heat up with a Saturday night showdown in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Experience the intense competition up close on the sport's biggest stage to kick off the 2025 season. The NASCAR Xfinity Series at Daytona International Speedway, Saturday, February 15th. Tickets start at just $49, and kids 12 and under are free in general admission. Secure your seats now at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
Hi, Jags fans. Walker Little here for my friends at Kingfish Pest Control. Playing offensive line in the NFL, I must block and protect on every down. When it comes to keeping my home pest-free, I expect that same level of protection. So I contacted Kingfish after seeing thousands of positive online customer reviews about their service. I can confirm from personal experience, bugs don't stand a chance getting past Kingfish Pest Control. Do what I did. Reach out to Kingfish Pest Control to protect your home, a proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars.
Follow Florida Gators men's basketball on 1010XL. Brought to you by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators. It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss. Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Mike Dempsey here. All right, we're almost a month into the new year. How's that resolution to drop your first 20 to 25 pounds going? Didn't happen? Yeah, well, that's probably because you didn't call Awaken 180 Weight Loss. I did, and in just 4 weeks, I dropped 23 pounds and was at my goal. But here's the crazy part. It didn't stop there. It was so easy. I kept going. Did it another week. Next thing I know, I'm down 27 pounds. That's right, 27. You know what's wild? I can still see my abs again. Not ripped. I don't have a six-pack, but I didn't even think I had those anymore before Awaken 180. It's amazing when you see the results. Feel the results. You just want to keep pushing forward. That's what makes Awaken 180 so different. It's not some medication quick fix where the weight comes off and comes back. It's real results that you can see and feel. Fast results and lasting results. Results that make you want to keep going. To reach a goal you never thought possible. Want the same for you? Then do it. Call the solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 Weight Loss, 844-346-1800, or visit awaken180weightloss.com today.
Denny Thompson here. Tyson Sound & Security has a huge prize sweepstakes now through the big game. I'm talking a 75-inch loaded Samsung TV with 3D surround sound, a sound bar with wireless subwoofer, and installation is included. Stop by the new showroom, check out the setup, and drop your name in the box for your chance to win the $2,500 prize now through February 9th. Tyson Sound & Security now at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming, Iowa.
Hey gang, Prosser here, and if it's time for you to sell your home, there is nothing like a guarantee, is there? Well, with Chad and Sandy and ChadandSandy.com, you know what the guarantee is? Your home sold guaranteed, or they'll buy it. How simple can it be? Whatever problems you think you have, didn't I just eliminate most of them? Perhaps you're worried about costly repairs. Need to sell your home, not with Chad and Sandy. Maybe you're worried you won't sell your home for the price you need. That's what the agreed upon price is all about. Chad and Sandy, check every box. Call them today. Chad and Sandy, the only local real estate experts I trust and recommend. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. No long-term contracts. Cancel at any time. Jonathan in Mount Pleasant. The only thing standing between me and my dream of traveling in my RV was the sale of my home. I heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. Crazy results in just 3 days. Got multiple offers for full asking price. You can too. Call 904-414-6200 or go to chadandsandy.com.
Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it be shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since 1999. Jags Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for 25 years. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call Mike today for a free estimate or online at projacksroofingfl.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. FSU's new QB, Thomas Castellanos, attended his first FSU press conference yesterday, excited to join the Noles team. The move has included a reunion with former UCF coach Malzahn, who will be the Noles offensive coordinator this season. Castellanos played for Malzahn in 2022 in Orlando before jumping to Boston College. Castellanos and what it's like to work with Malzahn again.
Just betting his offense, just, from experience, my freshman year at UCF, it's an offense that, is going to be explosive, going to be high tempo. Just really excited to be back and be involved and just, have him as my coach again. I'm excited to see, what this year or how this year goes.
The Jacksonville Jaguars are inviting you to hear from new head coach Liam Cohen at a free fan event Thursday night starting at 6 down in the Bank. To secure your free ticket in advance, visit jaguars.com/Coach Cohen. It's 65 degrees at 11 o'clock. Time in temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
He's going to be a good NFL player for 10 years. He's someone that can make players around him better. We've seen that in Michigan. So if that's the fit for Jacksonville, I think you get excited about, okay, this is a building block type defensive tackle. He's not Aaron Donald, right? It's not who he is, but he could be a really, really good defensive tackle for a long time.
That's Matt Miller from ESPN weighing in on Mason Graham, who he ranks as the number 4 overall prospect on his current top 50 big board.
Tells you a lot about this draft class, right? Like that he's even talking about Mason Graham as he's more a doubles guy, right? Like he's a double. I think this is a draft that even at the top, you're drafting a double, right? You may take a chance on a guy somewhere in the draft and he turns into a home run, but it's not because we were sure this guy's a home run. That's why we took the risk on this guy. It's you hit a double in this draft and you probably did all right, especially at the top of it.
Well, you talk about the receivers, right? Luther Burden and Tet McMillan. This is what we've been taking to calling him. I had some Arizona fan tell me, hey, we call him T-Mac. Well, that's fine, but
TV broadcasts all calling him that too.
Right. If we draft him here, we'll probably call him T-Mac. But I think for now,
we'll save that for Tracy McGrady.
I'd just rather use his full last name just so people know exactly what we're talking about, right? And there's no easy way to do it. But regardless, I'm just kind of tallying up what people did with the first pick because after that, it gets crazy in some of these mocks, Tone. I think I've gone back now, and at least the ones on Twitter that I received since yesterday, looking back, I don't think I've got one prior to that, and I've got another one or two here on the text line. I've got, 9, 10, 14, 18, 22 different mocks that have been submitted to us in the last day. Mason Graham went with the first pick to the Jags, Jags first pick at 5, 9 different times. Now, again, if you do this at Pro Football Network, you're going to get trade offers, and you can trade down. And there may even be a little gaming the system. Although I look at a guy like Will Campbell, Tony, and I felt kind of a little weird taking him at 18 last week. But I've seen him ranked in the 20s, or around there. If you look at different people, like people say, well, McMillan's never going to be on the board outside the top 10. Well, here's Matt Miller, who ranks him 11. Daniel Jeremiah ranks him 15th overall. Who's to say?
Yeah. In the draft that I did yesterday, for instance, Will Johnson went 13th, which means obviously I didn't take him, and Will Campbell went 14th.
Okay.
Right? And that's not unusual, I don't think. And I do think it's kind of fun to go through and do this week to week where you are getting a completely different look of how it could play out. And every year we get to the draft and we're like, whoa, that's surprising.
Because we're so focused in usually on the first round or maybe the top 40 picks, which the Jags will be selecting twice or three times.
And
in
it
some
never
occasions.
goes in the order even that you expect those to go. It just doesn't. I can remember having the conversations the year they drafted Josh Hines-Allen and being like, that's the guy that I really want, but what's the point in talking about? There's no way.
Right.
Right? That's how it felt for that entire process leading up to, and then the day of it was like, oh, they're going to get Josh Allen.
Right. Fell right into their lap.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cleveland Furl, going to the Las Vegas Raiders with that selection. So Graham, and these 22, and there may be more. I may have missed a few in my tally, but Graham went to the Jags 9 times. Travis Hunter and Will Johnson 4 apiece.
Okay.
McMillan 3 times, and then 1 for Kelvin Banks and 1 for Emeka Egbuka after a trade down outside the top 10. I did find it interesting that Matt Miller said that if you want a wide receiver who's going to be an impact player, you better get him early. He's got 5 graded as first rounders, none graded as second rounders. So if they all come off the board conceivably by the 36th pick where the Jags select, then, and that's not to say, we don't know if Christian Kirk's going to be here or not, right? Maybe on a rework deal, whatever the case. And then
whatever they do in free agency.
And what they do in free agency, right? So, there are different scenarios how this can all play out.
But these are going to change dramatically at some point here in the next few weeks when free agency does open and the Jags fill some of these gaps that we feel like are big gaps right now. Well, they may not feel like all that big a gap by the time we get to the actual draft.
Of course, right? And all we're doing is doing it right now. Maybe we'll do one where we say at a future date, okay, let's presume you signed 2 free agents and you filled 2 spots. Tell us who those 2 free agents are and then how that impacted your draft plan kind of thing. But for now, we're trying to keep it simple. We're still in the early stages for ourselves as well of doing these multi-round mocks. Also of interest to me in the conversation with Matt Miller is where he said he's got Luther Burden at 10, the Missouri receiver. He's got Ted McMillan out of Arizona at 11. Said neither one of them would have been a top 20 on his board last year. So just because Brian Thomas fell further into the first round doesn't mean either of these guys that they get taken at 5 overall are better than Brian Thomas Jr. It just what? And by the way, Brian Thomas Jr., if we redrafted last year's draft, I'd find it hard to believe that the Bears would not take him over Rome Odunze.
Probably.
But who's to say? I can't speak for them. But I would certainly think that somebody, after seeing what he was capable of doing now at the National Football League level, if you had that kind of knowledge, that you wonder, would he have gone ahead of Marvin Harrison Jr.? I mean, what did he do?
Could have
this year?
He'd be at least in the conversation.
He had a sporadic game or two here, and he was clearly their number 1 guy all year, Toad, at wide receiver. It was like Brian Thomas Jr. had the handcuffs of the coaching staff holding him back early on, not trying to put too much on his plate. Anyway, just found it kind of interesting. So, Tony, start us off because I do think Matt Miller set the table pretty well for you right here.
No doubt about it. That whole conversation about Mason Graham, I wound up trading down from 5 to 7 with the New York Jets. They also gave me their second-round pick next year in exchange for the 2-spot drop there. I still had Mason Graham available to me. Ted McMillan was still there. Will Campbell. Obviously, there were a bunch of names that I was still very interested in. I think I had another offer to trade down from 7 to 19, something like that, but it was a little bit further than I was willing to go. I might have still been able to land one of those guys, but I didn't want to risk it, given exactly the conversation that we just had with Matt, right? I don't think it's all that deep. They're at the top, and if you're in position to get one of the guys that you feel like is a lock double, kind of guy. And I do think, especially talking about Mason Graham, who I wound up going with there with the 7th pick overall, I think that guy as a double on the interior next to Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker will pay more dividends than it will in most places in the entire National Football League. The way that he can help those two guys on the edge and what it could do to unlock a bunch of the production for the entire defense from that perspective, Mason Graham right now is probably the top of my wish list. That may change here over the next couple months as we go through this whole thing. But right now, I'm thrilled that I could even drop a couple spots, pick up a pick next year, and get him at 7.
All right, Mason Graham goes to Tony at 7 in his mock. Dylan, what kind of machinations did you have with the 5th pick?
I stayed at 5, no trades. Number 5, I went with the one and only Travis Hunter, baby.
Oh, okay, he was there for you.
Yes, I finally took him, and he's going to be playing corner mostly for me. I talked to him, not receiver.
He's good with that. He's comfortable with that scenario. You're confident that he's going to step right in.
Yeah, when the second contract comes back around, you're going to get paid like a receiver, but you'll be playing corner.
Okay, well, promises, right? All right, we'll see. And you think about it. When Matt Miller said he's going to have to decide what he wants to play. Well, if you follow the money,
wide out
receiver is where it's at over corner in the present day National Football League. All right, so Travis Hunter. And by the way, if you want to, and I will probably do this at least one week. Tony and I were talking about this. If you restart the simulator enough times, you're going to get Travis Hunter to fall to you.
Yeah,
and it's not impossible that could happen if 2 quarterbacks go in the first 4 picks. Is it possible that somebody goes with the pass rusher in Abdul Carter and maybe the defensive lineman in Mason Graham, something like that? I don't think it's necessarily the most likely scenario, but is it possible? Yeah, I think it's possible. So if you want to do that, all you got to do is sometimes you get it in the first run through. Travis Hunter sitting right there. I haven't done one yet where I've taken Travis Hunter at 5. I'm too addicted to trading down. I feel like if I get Travis Hunter at 5, I have to stick and pick. So I did trade back to 13 here. I got Miami's 2nd-round pick next year as part of the compensation. I'm doing a bad job keeping track of the specifics of every one of these trades. I need to write them down as I go because I picked up that 2nd-rounder. And at the end of the day, the Jags have picks 5, 36, 70, 88, 106. So I added 50 to that lot. After that, they have 125, which I kept. They have 141. I improved that to 134. They have 180, 192, and 221. I don't have any of those, but I have 143, and I have a 2nd-rounder next year. So I feel like I came out ahead in the totality of it. I took Tet McMillan at wide receiver. I was surprised he was there. But again, looking at some of these big boards now, and you see Matt Miller, and he doesn't have the quarterbacks ahead of McMillan, and he still has them at 11. Jeremiah has him at 15, so I didn't feel like it was outrageous to consider him at that spot at 6'5", 212. Pro Football Focus, by the way, ranks him as their number 3 overall player. So not everyone is in lockstep on where he's going to come off the board.
Sure.
But I just felt like that big-bodied red zone target to balance out that receiving core was pretty interesting. And I didn't do this with Matt Miller's advice in mind, where he said that it really thins out at wide receiver. But now that I did, it'll be interesting to see how the rest of this played out. Yes, we got to focus on the lines of scrimmage. Doesn't mean I'm spending all my picks on wideouts, all right? So we'll come back and we'll roll through the rest of our selections, but we had 1 vote for Graham, 1 vote for Hunter, and 1 vote for McMillan today. 2 trade backs, 1 stick and pick scenario, and so far, as I said in the last 24 hours, Graham, Hunter, and Will Johnson, the overwhelming top 3 selections by our Jaguar cadre of mock drafters out there. So let's come back and rip through the rest of our selections and focus in on the positions that we addressed in these Wednesday mocks. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. 904 means Jacksonville. 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Do the Garber wiggle, Garber wiggle, 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 Garber wiggle. It's the time of year all our customers love. At Garber Auto Mall, every 2024 must go. Take advantage of thousands in discounts on all new Chevy, Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Ford. Visit us in Green Cove Springs or at GarberAutomall.com. And remember, at Garber Auto Mall, there's always a little room for wiggle. Garber Wiggle, Garber Wiggle, Wiggle Wiggle, Garber Wiggle.
Roll with Hard Rock Bet for Big Game 59 because we're rolling out over $5.9 million in bonus bets. The big game kicks off Sunday in New Orleans, but get your share of Big Easy bonus bets now so you can place more bets on us instead of using your own cash. It's the big game rollout. $5.9 million in promos only on Hard Rock Bet. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMITTED.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Need protection? Call Craig and Christine Kaprosky at Goosehead Insurance. The Kaproskys are a husband-wife team committed to finding you the right coverage at the right price in just a few short minutes. For home, auto, flood, or specialty insurance, Craig and Christine Kaprosky are the answer. Craig.Kaprosky at Goosehead.com.
AC replacement? If your AC unit is ready to go kaput, then it's time to call Florida Home AC. With over $3,000 in tax credits waiting for you on select systems, take advantage of it. Call 777-4300. Get Florida Home AC to cool you off.
Join me, Max Fink, as I keep a close eye on everything that happens in Gator Nation.
The Gator Report, polished up by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go, Gators! Chose C for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. They can transform your backyard with fire pits, pergolas, screen enclosures, and outdoor kitchens. And CSS handles the entire project from start to finish. You dream it, they build it. CSSOutdoor.com.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 166171, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative, with the answers to the questions I'm asked the most. Yes, we are local, and no, I'm not hiring an actor to read these commercials. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
When you head out for a night with friends or going to the big game, don't forget the best game plan to win the night is to designate a driver and guarantee a safe ride home. Hydrating between buds is the best play you can make. Bud Light, reminding all to drink wiser.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Our man Carnoustie has weighed in, Tony. Josh Carney of fantasy football fame from back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Web.com fantasy forecast. Free plug for web.com right there. He sent me his mock. He's got Ashton Genty going to the Jags. How would you feel about that? He traded down to 11. How would you feel about the Jags going running back in round one? I mean, Genty's an exciting player. Like, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of adding stars. It's such a deep running back draft.
So many. Yeah.
So many. But, and you look at, he could be our Bucky Irving. Well, Bucky Irving was like a 4th-round pick.
Yeah.
That's what makes Bucky Irving so enticing because he can find that talented a runner that late. I got a running back in my mock. I don't know about you.
I got one.
All right, let's go around the table here. Let's do this. Let's get our friend Regina in because we always like to make sure we talk to her when she gives us a ring. And then we'll go through, we'll do round 2, 3, and then the rest of the draft as we go around with the Mock Draft Wednesday. Regina, good morning.
Hey,
how are you?
Good morning. And no one said this yet. Duval!
Is that how you say it, Regina? I wasn't sure.
Duval.
No. Like you said, if he brings us a Super Bowl, then maybe we'll have to change it. But I have a question. If the same scouts are in place, what gives you the confidence that, the same O-line scouts, D-line scouts are going to be able to find people and maybe it was Balky, maybe it was the whole shebang. I'd like to see what happens. They need a GM that is on the same page and has all the chess pieces to get these people that we need. And I'll take your comments off the air.
All right, Regina.
Go Jags!
Go Jags! We love Regina, man. I feel like she's reinvigorated.
Yeah, and she is far from alone in expressing that kind of idea.
Hey, look, I get it, but here's it's just a reality.
It's
you
how it
don't
works.
have time. There aren't enough unemployed scouts that you could bring in together, start today, get up to speed on everything you need to do. When we've already got these all-star games happening right now. The hope is it's the guy at the top. Let's say it's Ian Cunningham, okay, whose the name's been floated, right? Chicago Bear front office assistant, and he comes in here. He's already done some of this work, right? He himself has some opinions on some of these players, and it's going to be, okay, what you do with the data. Oh, you like this guy? Well, I may see it differently. And the bottom line is Trent Baalke is not deciding. At the end, scouts give you input, and they fight for their guys, but the GM, if he has the final say, is the one who's going to stack that board in conjunction with the head coach. So it's new ideas and new eyes on the process and a new final decision maker, whoever that turns out to be. Look, I think the scouting reports themselves, it's what you're looking for in play. Like Baalke, for instance, right? Can't have a guy with short arms, right? Mason Graham doesn't have the ideal arm length.
Right.
Might not be a bulky guy. Well, the next GM might go, the hell with these measurables. I mean, they're important to a
his
degree.
measurables may be different.
Right. Maybe his benchmarks are different, right? And I understand why those measurables exist because over the course of a long arc of time, guys who have certain length arms are going to be able to get off blocks easier because they have greater reach. The offensive lineman can't keep them away from their body, and they're going to have more success over a great length of time. That doesn't mean when you're talking about one instance that this guy fits in with that overall arc. Look, Aaron Donald didn't check all the boxes.
No.
But he's a great player, and sometimes you need a guy with that vision that can see beyond just the pure measurables. So, it's a fair question. There's going to be some of the same scouting influence, but those guys don't get to make the draft picks, in the final analysis. And you're going to have Liam Cohen weighing in with his beliefs and philosophies of what he has seen be successful in the National Football League and, go from there. So, but it's a good question. It's a fair question. It's not one I'm overly concerned with. Every team that changes GMs, this could be a topic every year, but it's generally you feel like, hey, you've got a fresh new set of eyes in there. And then once this draft cycle plays out, he's going to bring in whoever he wants. Maybe he's going to keep some, maybe not, And it's kind of like being like a government employee. You're not necessarily tied to any regime, but you are to a degree, but you can still do an effective job no matter who your boss is. And your boss may screw things up, if that makes sense as a kind of a weak metaphor there. All right, Tony, who you got? Give me your second-round selections for the Jags. You want Mason Graham in the first.
I did. Second round, stuck at 36. Took safety Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame.
That's a popular one these days.
He's a box safety more so than anything else, but certainly that's going to be a position that the Jags are going to have to address. So I hadn't taken a safety in the first 5 rounds, I don't think, in the first couple of mock drafts that we've done, but I did Xavier Watts there at 36.
Okay, and that's the only second rounder you have.
Yes.
Dylan, what do you got?
36, no trades. I went with the D tackle from Ole Miss, Walter Nolan. Everything you see from the Senior Bowl, he's doing really well. Even in fact, I think Daniel Jeremiah has him going in the first round. I'll be surprised if he falls that far, but he's supposed to be a really good D tackle.
All right, for now, though, he was available to you. Had no other second rounders for you.
Correct.
All right, I had at 36, a guy I've taken, took the first week, didn't take last week. I don't think Wyatt Milam, the guard out of West Virginia, played tackle. Most people think he'll kick inside the guard. He's rated almost right there by Pro Football Focus, the 37th overall player, and a guy that I kind of know in the back of my head when I'm doing these mocks that if I want to go O-line in the second round, he will be available to me. And I picked up pick 50, and I went with Deion Walker, the defensive tackle out of Kentucky, Tony. I'm going to roll the dice that Mason Smith and Eric Armstead can give me production at the 3 technique spot. Mm-hmm. This guy is 6'6", 345. He is a freaking anchor. He is a man. And I've already heard about how he's making life difficult for people in these all-star settings to try to effectively run block. So massive space eater and, part of what's supposed to be a deep defensive tackle class. So I got Walker out of Kentucky at pick 50. Give me your third rounders.
Third rounders, got a couple in here. I traded down from 70. Tampa came in and offered me 84 and 120 to make the move about a half round back, so I did. So at 84, wound up taking running back Cam Scatterbo from Arizona State. There in the third round, and then still at the pick at 88. There I took edge rusher Donovan Ezeraku from Boston College, ACC Defensive Player of the Year this year, 16.5 sacks. PFF has him 33rd overall, 8th among edge rushers. Third edge rusher type, doesn't profile to help you much against the run, but 16.5 sacks last year for Boston College. He was a second-team All-SEC player, I think, as a freshman, but last year was the Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC.
All right. What are you doing in the third round, Dylan?
I got the receiver from Texas, Matthew Golden. He had a good year. Number 2, he had a good game one of his last games against Arizona State in that playoff game. And then at 88, I went with the guard from LSU, Garrett Dillinger, who played in 7 games this year, ended his season with an injury. Has played 3 positions, mostly at left guard. I think he started almost of the 40 games that he's played, 37 were starts.
All right, in terms of Golden, for instance,
he is flying up.
Right, I think Matt Miller's got him right somewhere he's got him in the first round.
Because I had him in a similar spot last week as you just did there, Dylan. But I was looking at all of it this week. I'm like, whoa, he is flying up.
Well, Marcus Bowe out of Purdue, the offensive tackle. I got him in the 6th last week. Now they've ranked him 74th overall. So these things are adjusting over time. All right, at pick 70 for me, this has been a common range for me to get an edge rusher in these mocks. Mm-hmm. And Kyle Kennard is a guy out of South Carolina who I've gone with before. I think he fits the profile as a third down pass rusher for you. He's 6'5", 254, not necessarily an every down player. PFF ranks him number 54 overall, so I went with him out of South Carolina. Coming off the edge, went with Gray Zabel, who I mentioned to Matt Miller. He talked about him as being a guy who can kick into guard and have a 10-year career. So I already took Wyatt Milam, who's a similar player. Both of these guys can play tackle. And, Tony, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, hey, you know what? If Walker Little doesn't excel and they can get out of his deal after 2 years, I've got a couple of potential in-house replacements already that may be acting as either a swing tackle or a starting guard for me in the meantime. So I think there's value there with these guys. He's 6'6", 305. Again, PFF, he's another guy who's rising. Used to be able to get him in the 4th round of these mocks. PFF has him as their number 41 overall player. So maybe off the board before the third round even begins, but that's who I took with pick 88. All right, we got to take a timeout here. We'll come back. We'll rip through the remainder of these mocks and then kind of focus in on what positions we spread our draft capital around in, and appreciate all the ones that you've sent in already. Question of the day out there today in poll form: is there a player worth trading up for in this year's draft? Yes, if it's Travis Hunter. Yes, if it's Abdul Carter. Yes, but I think it's somebody other than those two. Or no, it's not worth trading up from the Jaguars' perspective. You can hit us up at MD_1010XL on Twitter and one-click vote in that poll if you'd like. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss, celebrating their 10th anniversary. They're past that now, on to their second decade of dominance in the weight loss industry, cutting through the misconceptions of lose weight, quick gadgets, fad diets, and medications, and completely revolutionizing the weight loss industry with real results. More importantly, lasting results. That's right. Free support for life was and still is the backbone of the Awaken 180 program. And after 10 years, 23,000 clients have lost a combined 750,000 pounds. And along the way, eliminated the need for cholesterol medications, blood pressure medications, sometimes even type 2 diabetes medications. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel better about yourself. And unlike past efforts of losing weight, you're going to have the success maintaining that weight loss with Awaken 180's coaching. Set a goal weight, reach it, and it's free coaching and support for life. Schedule your free consultation next at awaken180weightloss.com.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Follow the JU Dolphins on 1010XL.
Number 1 in the ASUN. The Dolphins are back at historic Swisher Gym for First Responders Night. JU Florida Gulf Coast. Tonight at 7 on 1010 AM.
Is your dog Team Rough or Team Fluff? It's officially Puppy Bowl season at Dogtopia Jacksonville Beach Boulevard. They're getting MVPs, most valuable pups, ready for the big game. Your dog deserves a tail-wagging day of fun, and Dogtopia's indoor playrooms are the perfect training ground for their game day moment. Get your dog in on all the action by visiting Dogtopia Jacksonville Beach Boulevard and St. John's Bluff. New to the pack? Enjoy a free day of daycare. Mention Puppy Bowl when booking to claim the offer.
Hello, I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony. Being charged with domestic violence can turn your life upside down. If you're in trouble, call me, Malcolm Anthony, at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
Pizza to Tea here, and Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find the scratch kitchen that comes through in the clutch every day, from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar. Come on, somebody.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday
On Jaguars Today.
Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
The Florida Forum welcomes best-selling author and journalist Carl Hyacin, February 12th. Funds raised go to a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,200 infants and children a year to Wilson Children's Hospital. Get your tickets at thefloridaforum.com or call 202-2886. 202-2886.
Give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish. And he's listening to the Nimnicht Outdoor Show.
With tips and stories.
Presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning.
Every Saturday morning, 7 to 10.
On 1010XL.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists, and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness,
395-5598.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Hey, are you ready to welcome our new head coach, Liam Cohen, to the bank? Join us this Thursday at 6 p.m. at the Gallagher Club West and be among the first to hear directly from Coach Cohen. Enjoy a live panel with Coach Cohen, appearances from Jaguars legend Tony Vaselli, The Roar, Jackson DeVille, and the D-Line. Tickets are free, but space is limited. Secure your tickets by going to jaguars.com/Coach Cohen today.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you be active, reach weight loss goals, and find your inner strength while you connect with your community. Family memberships at the Y include unlimited group exercise classes, childcare while you work out, and youth sports participation. It's easy to join the Y and affordable for all. Plus, the Y is a great place to meet a new circle of friends. Visit the Y near you or online at fcymca.org.
Cannonball!
Honey, someone's in our pool.
Oh, refreshing.
John, what are you doing?
Oh, hey, Dave. Seeing as how me and the guys at Clearwater Irrigation reinstalled your sprinklers after the pool contractor ripped it out, I thought you wouldn't mind if I took a quick dip.
But in a Jaguar print Speedo?
Yeah, Dave. My bad.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers.
And drainage, too.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers, floral, or plant arrangement. This is Max Fink with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
All right, got a lot to do in 15 minutes here. Let's see. Again, if the failure at GM chose those scouts, why would the new administration trust them? Because you don't have time to replace your full scouting department and then have them scout all these guys have been working all for months and months and months and months and months compiling it. It's again, you can have a scout say X and one GM's going to interpret it this way and another one's going to interpret it that way. Again, just the simple thing like the arm measurement thing.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Oh, well, Aiden Hutchinson's arms are an inch too short. Well, I don't care. You know, the next GM might say he's a baller, right? And this is what I see. And this is what, as Matt Miller said, let's talk about what he can do as opposed to what he can't do. Another one here. Why would you take a defensive lineman in the first round when you hear that it's deep and it's thin at some other positions? Well, for one, these are mock drafts, and we're seeing how many different permutations we can come up with and what do we feel most comfortable with at the end. I think most people feel that Mason Graham is worth a pick in the top 10, and it is, to some degree, a position of need for the Jacksonville Jaguars, a focus that Liam Cohen talked about, building up the offensive and defensive lines. I don't think it's outrageous to think the Jags would consider him there.
Because you want the player, and the position isn't the biggest deal in that necessarily. Right? Like it can be that kind of thing. And I don't think defensive tackle is a position the Jags can't stand to improve on top of him being, I think, one of the top handful of players in this entire draft class.
Right. There's a little of that. Sometimes you got to take the highest graded player. But again, let's say the highest graded player is a 20. The next guy's a 19. But you know, I'm just making up numbers here. But then when, let's say you're talking about defensive line and corner. Okay. So you take the 20. Well, then what if then you realize by the time you get to the second round, your next highest graded corner is going to be a 3, and your next highest graded defensive tackle is going to be a 12, right? So then maybe you do take the 19 guy because you're going to take the 19 and the 12. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Like the cumulative total of those players.
It depends on your conviction on the player.
Sure it does.
Right.
But it also depends on how close. You have to rank guys. If you're going to rank them,
yeah,
one guy's going to be ahead of the other. But to what degree? Are they basically the same? Are they on the same tier level of talent?
Sure.
I don't know. We're not the ones doing the evaluation.
And I also think this has to come in as a factor as well. Big bodies are harder to find.
Sure.
They just are. It's not that there aren't more of them maybe available in this draft than are typically available in a draft, but that doesn't mean that you have a bunch of them. There's no other one of those guys that's being talked about in the top 10, not even close to it.
Correct.
Right? Like there's only one of those available in this draft. So, yeah, if that's a position you feel like is any kind of need for you, then it would make sense to go Mason.
Somebody said, hope you guys start mixing and trading Gabe Davis's contract with someone in your trade downs. Well, A, they don't usually allow you to include players, and B, Gabe Davis's contract is not very tradable.
No.
Gabe Davis' cap hit this year is a little under $6.5 million. That's not outrageous. His dead cap number, if you move him, is over $20 million.
Yeah, Gabe Davis is overwhelmingly likely to be playing wide receiver for the Jags.
Correct. How important a role he has in that court and where he slots in to be determined. But it's very, very likely that he would be here. Finally, this one from Charles. Y'all have great sponsors. I've used Duck Rooter and Roland Reach Plumbing and Westside Guns and Gold from the Outdoor Show. I'm only 140 at 5'11", so I don't need a Waken 180, but I've received super fantastic customer service from all the ones, and I've already given them excellent reviews online. So if you give them a shout out, thanks. Well, thank you, Charles.
Glad to hear
we
it.
appreciate that, and I'm sure those sponsors are very happy with that as well. Let's go around the NFL.
Gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Dallas is hiring Matt Eberflus as their defensive coordinator. Eberflus was fired as the Chicago head coach during the 2024 season. Detroit is hiring John Morton, who has worked the last 2 seasons as the Denver passing game coordinator, as their new offensive coordinator. Denver rookie quarterback Drake May and Pittsburgh quarterback Russell Wilson have been named to the AFC Pro Bowl roster after Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen both opted out of the event. Baker Mayfield is replacing Jaden Daniels on the NFC side at quarterback, and Seattle wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba is replacing Terry McLaurin at the Pro Bowl. The events for all that start tomorrow night.
All right, Tone. Bucky Brooks put out a mock today. Of course, Bucky's part of the Jaguar Game Day broadcast team and the Huddle Up podcast with John Ogier. Shedeur Sanders, number 1. Abdul Carter, number 2. Cam Ward, number 3. Travis Hunter to the Patriots. And Bucky takes Mason Graham to the Jaguars, 1 spot ahead of Tet McMillan, who I had him going with. And then Will Campbell follows. And then, there are some edge guys, particularly the Georgia duo, Williams and Walker, that are forcing their way into the top 10 conversation right now. He's got Will Johnson, by the way, going at 11 to San Francisco. A lot of people like him as the top corner, not named Travis Hunter, on the board. All right, Tone, just recap what you've done and give us the remainder of your picks, please.
First round, Mason Graham at 7th overall after a small trade down. In the second round at 36, safety Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. Third round, a couple of picks here. Running back Cam Scatterbo at 84, again after a bit of a trade down. And then an 88 edge, Donovan Azaroku out of Boston College. In the fourth round, I begin at 106 with center Jared Wilson out of Georgia, PFF's top-rated center prospect at 120. The pick I picked up in that trade with Tampa Bay. Gray Zabel, North Dakota State offensive tackle. Who knows where he's going to wind up playing in the National Football League.
What pick did you take him at?
120.
120. See,
yeah.
I took him at 88 because I know he's sliding up in these rankings, right?
Yeah.
And there is a large range of fluctuation where you can get him.
Then at 125, took cornerback Mello Dotson out of Kansas. First team all Big 12 this year, comfortable in man or zone. Fifth round, safety Malachi Moore out of Alabama. Took him last week as well. Free safety, so got a strong end of free safety in this class. Then in the sixth round of 184, wide receiver Kobe Hudson out of UCF. Seventh round, 223, tight end Jackson Hawes out of Georgia Tech, and picked up the second round pick from the Jets next year.
All right, Dylan, what'd you do here?
Let's see. From the beginning, I went from Travis Hunter to Walter Nolan, second round, Matthew Golden in the third, and Garrett Dellinger, the guard from LSU. From the fourth round on, I went from Billy Bowman, the safety from Oklahoma, at 106. 125, I went Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia. 143, went Raheem Sanders, the running back out of South Carolina. If you can see, I got a trend of SEC guys. Continued it with Cooper Mays, who seemed like he played forever at Tennessee, the guard. And last but not least, went again with Shiloh Sanders.
All right.
Safety, corner?
Slot corner.
Safety is where he was getting cooked at one of those, whatever bowl game he's playing in.
Yeah, somebody was commenting on some of my offensive line selections in the mock, and they're talking about how much they liked Wyatt Milam. He's a guy delivered a lot of pancake blocks, and they also talked about Gray Zabel. And I've seen at least one site said they think Zabel, even though he's not really played the position, could play any spot on the offensive line and projected him to be a 10-year starter at center as well. So anyway, I went with Tet McMillan at 13 after a trade down. Wyatt Milam, the guard out of West Virginia, at 36. Deion Walker, the defensive tackle from Kentucky, at 50. Kyle Kennard at 70, the edge rusher from South Carolina. Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State as, let's just call him offensive lineman at pick 88. Then I only had 4 picks remaining here. I took Jordan Hancock, a corner out of Ohio State, 6'1", 195. Say he can play both man and zone. Projects as an outside corner in the National Football League. I'm channeling Dylan Denmark. Billy Bowman, safety out of Oklahoma, PFF's number 106 rated player. And what I try to do is blend a little bit of PFF along with like Kuiper's top 10. He had Bowman at number 7 among his safeties. I took Dylan Sampson out of Tennessee. Tone. Kuiper's got him number 4 among running backs this year. He does it all. 5'11", 201. PFF ranked him at number 52.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on this Scatabo thing for a couple of mocks, and I'm like, you know what? I can't get fixated on any one guy. This is supposed to be a deep draft at running back, so let me see if it works out that way. And I was very happy. Got him at pick 134, and then my final pick was 143. And I don't know what the long-term future is of Evan Ingram here, so I went with Luke Lachey because you can almost never go wrong taking a tight end out of Iowa.
Yeah.
Right? And he's
the same last week. Yeah.
Right. Did you have Lachey in it last week?
Yeah.
At 6'6", 247, they say he can play inline. He can play kind of like in the slot. He can play out wide. He can do a little bit of everything. I got to look up Cade Otton's size here quickly. Liam Cohen obviously helped him have a somewhat of a breakout season this year. He's 6'5", 247. So here's the guy 6'6", 247. It's the same mold type tight end that Liam Cohen worked with. And granted, he wasn't the focal part of the passing game until Mike Evans and Chris Godwin were both out. And then he had games of 8 catches for 77 yards and a touchdown, 9 for 81 and 2 touchdowns, 8 for 100, and then came back and scored a touchdown the following week, even though he only had 2 grabs in that one. So when necessary, he became a target hog. He had 31 targets in a 3-game period out of necessity for the Bucs this year. And it's, again, that's kind of more players over plays. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are out. We're not going to run the same kind of stuff. And Liam Cohen helped turn Cade Otton into a pretty effective pass catcher, something he had only teased up until this season. So Lachey kind of fit that mold for me. I ended up with 2 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen, 1 tackle, 1 edge, and then 1 each at safety, corner, tight end, running back, and wide receiver. How did it break down for you position-wise?
1 tackle, 1 edge, 2 offensive linemen, 1 center, 1 tackle in that group. 1 corner, 2 safeties, 1 running back, wide receiver, and tight end.
Dylan?
1 corner, 2 safeties, 1 defensive tackle, 2 guards, a center, a running back, and a receiver.
Man, I have a feeling I'm going to watch the draft, and like on day 2, I'm going to be like, wait a minute. I was getting that guy in round 6. What's wrong? Why are they overdrafting these players? I don't know. Anyway, appreciate everybody, over 20 of you probably, and we've had more roll in the last 15 minutes or so that took the time out to send in your full mock drafts. Eventually, we'll probably switch it up to some other sites, but for now, Pro Football Network seems to be doing the trick for us. Finally, Tone, before we welcome in Helmets and Heels, poll question today. In your mind, is there a player worth trading up for the Jags?
No.
Dylan?
No.
I would say no, but I would say if there was one, if you really feel like Travis Hunter is that unicorn of a guy, it would make more sense. Doing these mocks it seems like there's a lot of edge depth in rounds 2 and 3, like quality guys who are pass rushers. And again, I'm not looking to draft a guy at number 5 that I don't know if I've got a starting spot for him on this football team. Maybe I'll be the one missing out because a lot of people have Abdul Carter rated as their number 1 overall player. 74% say it's not worth trading up. 13.5% say yes, it is for Travis Hunter. 11.5% say yes, it is for Abdul Carter, which surprised me. And then 1.1% said yes, but for someone else. I'm assuming that's Will Johnson or Mason Graham in those spots. Maybe McMillan if you don't think he's going to make it to you. But anyway, those are the current results of today's Jaguars Today question of the day poll presented by Chad and Sandy Real Estate. So let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
LB. Hello, Lauren Brooks.
Duvall.
Lauren Brooks, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. I did like how the Jaguars decided to call tomorrow night Liam Cohen's first Duval, Coach Cohen's first Duval. I feel like they're leaning into he needs another attempt at this.
But
the first one was good.
The first
second
one's
one
great,
not good.
right? So what? So to ignore the second one, and I don't understand.
I do feel like the players that were there should have come right back to help him out and be like, Coach, it sounds like this. Duval, right? There were several players that could have helped.
I don't know, or did he just? And again, I'm
swing and a miss.
Did he just feel like he was going to get some kind of hey, you know how this goes, right? And he thought people were going to join in with him.
Well, because there were
missed. I love it.
There were members of the city council there. It won't go away. That's for sure, at least for a while. But yeah, there were members of the city council there, and Schott obviously got an applause. So he probably did think when he was first introduced that he might get a bit of a response. But
in the end, who cares?
Right? In the end, when September comes, none of this matters.
Unless we
can all laugh. Just have a
gates.
good time, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and I like the people who say they're going to troll people, say your team lost to a coach who sounds like this. And then they're going to post that and send it to their fan bases.
I mean, maybe in game in the fourth quarter, Jags are up by 2 touchdowns because Trevor's thrown for 400 yards and, 3 touchdowns. Maybe then they'll put that on the video boards and everybody will be in their, on their 5th beer and the whole stadium will go, Duval, and it'll be like pinkies up. Who knows?
Maybe.
Everybody
a girl can
with
dream.
me.
Yeah, exactly. We can make fun of ourselves, right? That's part of life.
Everyone else does. So,
yes,
what are we doing today on Helmets and Heels?
Well, as you know, since you talked to Matt Miller of ESPN, the draft starts in Mobile, so we will continue that with JP Acosta, who's also in Mobile. Talk all things Senior Bowl. Gray Zabel, was he one of your guys?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I feel like he's popping up everywhere now, the guy from North Dakota State.
My first mock, I got him in the late 4th round or something, and now I'm like, damn it, I better take him in
There's always one of those Division II offensive linemen that about this time everyone's like, this is the one.
Cody Mock is another one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk to him. And then also at 1 o'clock, we will chat with Kai Stevens from Jaguars.com and talk all things Jags and about that pep rally tomorrow night as well. And it's cool because she got to interview Liam right before he went up to the podium. So certainly she got to know him a little bit better than we did.
Okay. We'll be listening. Have a great show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren Brooks, the lovely and talented. All right. That will do it for Jaguars Today. Tomorrow, our ship has come in. John Shipley will join us in studio tomorrow from Sports Illustrated's coverage of your favorite NFL team. And I presume it is your favorite NFL team if you're listening to this program. So John Shipley in studio. Dylan Denmark will be out, at least for us, for the next couple of days. So we'll go slumming with E.T. for the next couple of days. Yeah, that's my man right there. Don't get Wally pipped. All right, don't get Wally pipped. All right, and then Tom McManus will be back with us Friday. By the way, Demetrius Harvey, he was going to join us a couple weeks ago after the season wrapped up, but he had some things on his agenda. We've rescheduled him for next Thursday, joining us in studio as well as we try to bring you the most comprehensive Jaguar coverage of the offseason. Liam Cohen. Why haven't I heard 4 more names announced as guys you've interviewed for coordinator yet? Slacking this morning, are we? So
we'll check tomorrow.
At least 4 defensive coordinator candidates and 1 OC candidate have been interviewed, so he has not been wasting time. Coach Liam Cohen. That'll do it for us today. Thanks to Matt Miller of ESPN, for Tony Smith and Dylan Denmark. I'm Mike Dempsey. We'll be back at it again tomorrow with more Jaguars Today here on 1010XL.